Welcome back to We Right Here, the podcast. It's your boy PK with my man Miller Time. We have a very, very special guest in the house today. Super excited to have this young gentleman on the show with us. He is a two-time Jamaican Driver of the Year, 2017 Rally Jamaica champion. 2018, he became the first Caribbean-born driver to compete in professional rallycross. For those of our listeners, that's abbreviated as ARX, America's Rallycross. 2019, he was the ARX2 champion. And in 2020, he was the Rallycross Nordic Championship runner-up in the Supercar division. Please welcome Fraser McConnell. Fraser,
What's
how
up?
are you, my friend?
Good, good, good. Thanks for having me, guys.
We're so glad to have you on, man. So glad. I got to tell you a short little quick story. I think I mentioned to you when we first connected. So 90% of the stuff my mom sends me from social media is shout out to my mom, is useless, right? but
Gotta shout out mom. Gotta shout out.
It's good
but
intentions.
it's very good intentions,
Yeah,
biggest mama's boy there is. But she sent me your clip with that insane pass. I believe it was in Barcelona. I mean, we'll get
yeah,
to it, I'm sure. But
yeah.
so she sent me that, and that's right at the beginning of the clip. So my heart's racing already. I'm like, bro, what am I watching? And then obviously, you got the car swagged out. So I'm looking at the car and I see the huge Jamaican colors. I'm like, what is this? I sit up, I'm watching, and then you come on and you're getting interviewed and stuff. And I loved it, man. And I've been a big fan ever since. So we're so glad to have you on. Welcome.
Yeah, man,
Um,
respect.
respect for sure. I want to ask you, when did you first get behind the wheel? Because I read you were kind of into dirt bikes, I think, maybe when you were a
Yeah,
kid.
so I mean, even before that, my brother and sister are into horseback riding. We live out in the countryside. So that was kind of just, I mean, something to fill up time and an extracurricular. But I never really fell in love with the horse stuff. I tried it a couple of times and tried turn left and it wouldn't turn left. Tried to pull back the reins and it wouldn't stop. And I was like, this isn't for me. So switched over to dirt bikes. The dirt bike track was actually right beside where they would do the horse jumping. And then I was like, I need to get on one of these things. Started doing it, and then I mean, I live out in Bogwalk, so I had the whole farm to ride around all day and just know what I can do with the bike, know what I can't do with the bike. Took some spills by myself, and that's how you get to get better. And then started racing motocross. Quite big, not it's not a huge sport down here, but enough to be competitive. Um, did a couple years of that, moved up to certain classes in the bike, and then mom and dad said, "No more. This is way too much." Their heart couldn't handle the
Couldn't
two
take
wheels
it.
and the jumping in the air. So they said if I was going to continue, it had to be four wheels, and so went out to Palisades go kart track. And I want to tell you, this is 2007 maybe when I'm 2008. Go out there, and it was an international meet. They used to have these huge international meets where guys would come from Mexico, Florida, all over, just on this huge international meet. And I just fell in love immediately. And one of my longtime teammates and rivals, William Myers, was actually racing go karts at the time, and we were friends. And I jumped in his seat. I was a little big for it, but I jumped in it, and I was just like, "This, I feel at home." So started off racing go karts, and here we are.
One thing I wanted to always ask somebody who races for a living, when did you make that decision? When did it kind of click like I'm gonna drive really fucking fast and really dangerous for the rest of my life and make money off of it and go after that dream? When did it click for you? What was the moment?
I mean, that's still the goal, but when it did switch over, I was probably before my first car. It was me and dad had a chat, and he was saying, "Well, if this is gonna continue, we're gonna have to decide if this is a career path that we want to go down, or is this gonna be a hobby, because getting a little expensive." Then the sponsors weren't really on board at that point in time. And then that just switch gears to a whole new way of approaching the sport and training, a lot more work in the gym, a lot more off track commitments. Um, and that would have been like 2015 or 2014, around there. Um, so I still wouldn't consider myself a professional, because in my eyes, that's a full-time big sponsor all the time, or you're driving for a manufacturer. So I haven't gotten to that stage yet, but that's definitely my goal. Right now we're struggling to get enough sponsors to cover all the costs, but right now we have a couple on board that will definitely make things a lot easier for us.
Excellent. So let's jump into that now. What's the strategy to drive more sponsorship around the rallycross sport? Because I'm sure there's a bit of a brotherhood or brother and sisterhood around the sport where all of you want to increase the revenue share, the pie, the sponsors and everything. What's kind of the strategy? How do you do that?
Well, what I've come to learn is that motorsports in general is a lot. To make things easy, call it 50-50 on-track performance and off-track performance. So you could be the best driver in the world and people hate you and no one's going to really want you to drive for their team. You get me? So you're going to have a balance of, okay, spending time on social media and pumping your feed, and balancing that with trying to understand and look at the data that you're racing with. You're trying to study the track, study your opponents. So we're limited in time, right? So when you go to a race, if I spend 20 minutes taking pictures and taking videos and flooding my feed, that's going to take away from me being able to study the track and study they're good, they're really gifted, and that's my goal as well, is to try and make the social media scene effortless, so that I have more time to focus on the racing. Because it's difficult, man. It's being what's the word? Not just content or quantity of content, because that gets annoying and people don't want to see a bunch of random.
So the authenticity, you want to present your authentic, you want to be genuine unique. Self, unique also, for sure.
So I've also been, everything I post is genuine. I mean, even the Jamaica flag on the car is just in my blood. I'm not fronting a image that, oh, this Jamaican guy is. I'm really super honored to represent Jamaica, and I'm representing them on the thing I like to do. I love doing most. So it's a win-win for me, and just the support from the Jamaican fans are incredible. It doesn't get better than that.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. So let's say someone's considering joining, correct me if I'm wrong, Team Fras, right? It's Team Fras you guys represent. That's how you call your crew, right? So someone's on the fence considering a rallycross driver to get behind. What do they need to know about Fraser McConnell? What do they need to know about joining Team Fras, besides obviously your very strong passion for Jamaican culture and your roots?
Well, like I say, what you see is what you get. I mean, I'm not going to jump in front of a camera and boost, just keep repeating the name of my sponsors, because if they turn the camera off, that's not who I'm going to be. So everything that's coming out of my mouth is genuine, and I know if I will big up my sponsors and I will big up the people that are helping me be there. But if I'm at the end of a race and someone's driven me dirty or pissed me off on track, you're going to see pissed off Fras at the end of the race. You get me?
Yeah.
So the emotions run hot in that race, and I mean, 90% of the time I'm able to compose myself and really make sure I don't make people see that side that I don't like people seeing. But sometimes it's really hot in there.
Well, one thing I noticed, and I appreciate you being modest, you seem like an authentic guy, but the video that PK was talking about in the beginning, it caught my eye. Yeah, I saw it. It was swaggy. You've got a swagger about yourself, and I saw Sean Paul in the video, which I mean, we grew up listening to his music. I got to ask, a little name brag time. Who's the most famous person who has been excited to come out and watch you race?
Oh boy. Well, one of my sponsors in 2019, that video you saw was Bolt. Usain Bolt. The Bolt sponsor on the side of the car was his scooter company, Bolt Scooters. And we're trying to get him out that race, but he's a super busy guy with his schedule can't even fit a piece of paper in there. But Ching and Sean were actually performing at that same event, and they got word that I was racing in that event, and then it was just a complete coincidence. They were, yo, Fraz, link up. And they just did a quick photo shoot with me, and that really gave me some prestige in the rallycross world and made the whole promoters of the actual series be like, okay, this guy is an asset to us.
Excellent.
Unfortunately, those promoters don't work for the sport anymore. They've moved on, but the impression is still there. And I mean, even all the race winners in the big class and the world champions, they know me as the Jamaican guy with that flashy car and knowing all the links and having all the cool friends.
Awesome. So you mentioned obviously being your genuine, authentic self. You said sometimes tensions can rise or flare during a race, right? You get hot, sometimes you're upset or angry about the way somebody may drive you dirty. Along those lines, I have a buddy in Virginia who I mentioned interviewing you too. He's a big race fan, and we're dying to know, man, like, when have you had like a oh shit kind of moment behind the wheel where maybe you're entering a turn, you're drifting, sliding at almost 45 degree angle, and you're not sure if you pushed it too hard or you let off too early, or take us through that. Yeah, take us through that.
You get those a lot. I mean, obviously racing at this level, you have to be super confident in yourself to even get to this point. And I mean, I'm fully confident in every single moment I'm driving. But say, for instance, if it's all of a sudden an inch from the wall and you're like, oh shit, how did I get in this mess? And you kind of, instincts kind of kick in, a mix of instincts and experience and training. So the whole theoretical part behind it is, I know if I go sideways, I need to get my foot on the gas as fast as I can to pull it out. And that's just a instinct that clicks into my mind if stuff goes sideways. In terms of crashes always happen way too fast for you to kind of react. I mean, most of my crashes have been in practicing, which is a good and a bad thing, because you shouldn't be really crashing during practice, but it's also good because you'd rather crash in practice than a race.
Right.
So you'll have both sides of both opinions when you crash in practice, but I personally think it's best because you really have that chance to push by you have that chance to push by yourself and kind of find those limits without any major consequences. Maybe you might need to fix the car, but you're not throwing away any championship points or race wins or podiums or stuff like that.
Nice. Now, Fraser, I noticed on your Instagram, which you've got a great page, awesome content.
Thank you.
A lot of the posts are from Sweden. Why Sweden? I mean, somebody ignorant like me to the sport, what is the significance of Sweden? Because it seems like so many of your posts are posted there.
So Rallycross is a Scandinavian originated sport. And I mean, that's what also brings my uniqueness to the table, is that when you look at the entry sheet, Denmark, Sweden, Norway, Sweden, Jamaica. And then they're like, what's this guy doing here? But I kind of took away from the point there. But Sweden is where my team is based. When I did my first race in 2018 in America, the team boss, Andreas, approached me and my parents and said, oh, this Fraser looks like you have a lot of potential. Would love you to come and race in Europe with us. And at this point in time, Europe in my mind is like, holy shit, like Europe is the big boys. You don't go to Europe unless you're really ready and you're dominating in America. And I left the first race in America, my first ever race in Rallycross in America. I left there with tied for first place in points. And I guess I was like, well, if this keeps up for the rest of the year, then I guess I am ready for Europe. Second race in America, I get pushed into the wall in the very first race. Even before the first corner, I got sandwiched into the wall and it kind of just wrote off the car for the entire weekend. That was a huge confidence knock. And going back into the third, there's only 3 events that year. Third event, I was able to climb back up slowly and ended off with a second place podium. And that was enough for us to be like, okay, I made me believe back in myself again. And he was still in touch with us. and then did the first race of the year was with them actually in Spain. So the European circuit was 7 events, and six of those were in Europe. And the Swedish team that I was with, they actually build those cars, the RX2, the one in that video.
Yeah,
it's called the Supercar Lights. And my team is OMSE. OMSE manufactures all of those cars, so they're all identical. There's nothing differentiated any of those cars, just the way you set up the alignment and so on. So that racing is the most competitive I've been, because it all comes down to driver at the end of the day. It's just best driver wins.
And Fraser McConnell here with us on the We Right Here podcast. Now, Fraser, you've brought up a lot of cool places: Europe, obviously Jamaica, Sweden, the U.S. What's been your favorite place to visit? If you could go back and travel to one place.
South Africa.
South Africa.
For sure.
Quick.
Yeah, you didn't hesitate on that one.
No,
that was quick.
What is it about South Africa that appeals to you so much?
Oh, well, it might be a little biased, because we did a little safari before, and that was probably the craziest experience of my life. But going back to racing now, the fans really took a liking to me immediately, because it was the closest thing they had to a South African driver. I mean, the car itself kind of did look like a South African flag, and once they heard us from Jamaica, it just be likable for them. And the track itself was really cool. It came second in that final, and it was the closest I did come to winning a race in that series, which was packed with talent. And then what else was? Yeah, South Africa was just a really cool place, man. I would go back there in a second.
It sounds like it. Now, I'm glad you brought up the Supercar Lights versus the Supercar. So tell us about what that jump is like. Most people are never going to drive a 600 horsepower car. So correct me if I'm wrong. The Supercar Light division, you're racing about 300, 310 horsepower cars.
Yeah,
versus
310.
Jumping up to around 6. Is that right?
Yeah. So the Supercar Lights is a 310 naturally aspirated 4-wheel drive. And that really punishes you if you're not perfect. You're going to be a long, far way off of the fast guys. And I mean, when I first got into rally, it was a lot of sideways. I mean, the caliber of racing down here is good, but not to the point where if you overslide a little bit too much, you're not dropping 10 places down the leaderboard. So when I went up to America, even it's the same. Supercar Lights are racing in America. They don't like going sideways. They don't like going off the line. They're really picky cars. And I mean, I tried the sideways flary stuff that I normally did, and looked at the time sheet. I was like, well, I have a lot of work to do. Figured that out. And once you learn the fundamentals of the Supercar Light, it made it really easy to transition to the Supercar. Yeah, it's more than double the speed, and you can get yourself into trouble a lot quicker. But for me, it was applying those same fundamentals that I learned in the lights and my go-karting and my rally, and trying to just mesh all of that together in this 600 horsepower beast.
Nice.
And I mean, I get goosebumps every time I step in it for the first time after a while, because it's just it's a machine. It moves.
I imagine. I bet it looks like it moves, man. All your videos look insane. They're pretty quick. Cool. I told you
I get a lot of, before I did jump in it, you hear a lot of people exaggerating, like, oh, you get tunnel vision, your eyes get messed up if you don't focus too much. I'm like, what are you guys talking about, man? And I could see how that could happen, but that didn't happen to me personally. I was just so focused on my first performance in the Supercar. I was like, this is a chance I've been waiting for my whole life. I can't mess this up any which way possible. So I got up to pace in the very first test session. The OMSE has a track that they always test at. And I mean, I was right up there with the times of Kevin Eriksson and Ollie Eriksson and all those my teammates that had raced Supercar before. And we went into the first event with confidence. So that was pretty cool.
For sure, man. For sure. I told you we would definitely kick it today. So I gotta ask you a outside racing question, man. We want to know. We're interested in knowing who your top 5 musicians are. What kind of music are you listening to, man? What do you know, where are you
Right
at?
now, it's a lot of dancehall. A lot of dancehall.
You gotta put us on. You gotta put our listeners on. There's been a gap in dancehall music the last 10 years. So, you know, where are you? Popcorn, like, who are you? You know, what's going on?
Skilly has been going on with some wickedness recently, but in the last month or so, I haven't heard anything too crazy from him. But he had a 2-3 month stretch of some big tunes, and then you have the regulars, like you can't move off a Cartel. He's a boss.
Yeah, you can't. You really can't.
Popcorn will come out with a hit every now and then, so you can't go on him. And you know, 6 can't go on 6 neither.
Yeah.
Law Boss and Squash.
All right.
So I mean, it's I listen to pretty much everything, and then the one-off bangers in hip hop, Drake and, you know, those guys.
For sure, absolutely.
Let me see if my top 25 most played.
While you
have some Afrobeats in there.
Yeah, I'm a big Afrobeats fan. Yeah, for sure.
Burna Boy.
Yeah, Davido, Burna Boy. Yeah.
Some Dave, some UK drill.
Yeah.
You wouldn't call Dave drill. That's not drill.
Yeah, I wouldn't really call him drill. No.
What do you call that?
I mean, I think his sound is more. To me, it sounds more. I mean, everything has a hip hop influence, though, right? I mean, it's kind of like the carve outs that you hear in whatever kind of music. Like if you listen to reggaeton, right, you might hear Bad Bunny, but it's a lot of hip hop influence. So it's almost like a hip hop Afrobeats kind of sound to me, anyway. But while you look at that, let me ask you another question. Celebrity crush. So we're off music now. You're 22. Look at it. You're 22. So 23 in September, right? 23 September.
Putting them on the spot.
I'm putting you right on the spot. I told them we would kick it on the show. So celebrity crush. Who are you?
I don't even get the chance to look at Insta right now.
No Insta. No Insta. She says, you know what, Fras? I'm gonna come out to a race. I'll wave the star flag or the finish flag, or I'll go for a lap with you. Who is it?
Go look up Desiree Schultz on IG. That's my girl. That's my girl. I don't know how much of a celebrity is. Look her up. I need to see what I'm talking about.
I'll have to be the guy to do that. I'm the bachelor. Miller Time's married, so I'll be the one to look her up. I'll let you know.
You know, if you told me she was coming to a race, nobody's finishing in front of me. No chance.
That's what we're talking about.
Tag her in the video.
No, I also saw a bunch of videos of you playing golf on your page.
Don't bring that up.
This podcast actually was born on a golf course with me and PK. So I got to ask, what's your handicap?
Oh boy, I mean, it's up and down. The last week I shot my personal record at 86. That's my best so far.
Oh, you're in the 80s. All right.
Yeah, I mean,
there's nothing to be shy about at all.
Yeah,
not at all.
But you'll get a 1 or 2 shanks in there sometimes.
Yeah,
you know,
that's how it
depending on how rough the night before was.
That's golf, man. That's golf.
But I actually like it for I think it's good cross training, because once you actually get in a bad place, say you blow up on a hole, I think it's really good practice for me to go out there, blow up, and then next hole try to compose myself as fast as I can, and it's cross training.
Yeah,
but it's addicting, man. The golf is addicting.
Yeah, for sure. And one more thing that I saw was that you launched your own racing series. It looks like I think it's the Jamaican Folk Race Series.
Yardman Racing.
What can our listeners expect from that? Where can they find it? What do you expect to bring with this race series?
Well, I actually learned it while I was in Europe, in Sweden. And I saw them all on this live stream phone glued to the screen. I was like, what are you guys watching? They were like, folk racing. And I look, and it's like these 1980 Volvos versus these 1980 Saabs, and these pieces of junk.
Really?
But they're racing on rallycross tracks, going hard. I mean, jumping, they're flying, their cars are flipping over the side there. And when I asked more questions, they were like, yeah, this is grassroots rallycross. This is where it all started.
Wow.
It didn't start with the 600 horsepower or the supercar lights. It started with folk racing, with the old junk Volvo and the Saab and the, the anything that you could find on the road that wasn't really, you couldn't really drive on the street. They would just put in a roll cage, turn up the power a little bit, and go race. So, I mean, they'll have 500 to 600 entrants per event. I mean, it takes a week. It takes a week for them to have an event. So that's how big it is. And I thought, why can't I do that down here? So during lockdown, in the heights of COVID, I had weeks out here on the farm. I live on a citrus orchard on the True Juice property, and just driving around and looking, and there's this like unused piece of land that's in like a valley kind of thing. And I just, as I saw it, I saw a racetrack. So took the bulldozer, took the backhoe, and then just went to work for 3 weeks. And now the track is ready and waiting, but the COVID restriction down here, there hasn't been much sporting events, and the sanctioning body is kind of a mess right now. So the track is ready when they start approving racing again, but it's in my mind, it would blow up in Jamaica down here. Everyone is every taxi man would have a car. Put it that way. If you have a been driving on the road in Jamaica, every taxi man thinks they deserve to be on Petronas Formula One team.
That's about right. He's not lying. He's not lying. Well, Fraser McConnell, thank you for joining us today. You mentioned
four-wheel drive. It's just the simplest of cost-effective racing that you could ever think of. Can you hear me? Said it broke up.
Yeah, it broke up a little bit, but you're good. So, no, Fraser McConnell, thank you for joining us today. You said that the track is ready, or the track is ready and waiting, but from the way I've seen you drive, man, there's no track ready for you, man. So keep it up. You definitely have support from us here. We right here, the podcast. We are both Team Fraz moving forward. We will certainly big you up and follow and spread the word and promote the sport. You can find Fraser McConnell on his Insta, Fraser McConnell, FraserMcConnell. Fraser McConnell is his IG. Anywhere else our listeners can find you, Fraser, or support or shout out Rallycross?
You can see me on Facebook, but I'm way more active on Instagram.
All right. Follow Fraser McConnell on Instagram, guys. Team Fraz. Big up yourself.
Big up we right here.